is 6:07 on Tuesday, December 8th, 2020. And I'd like to call the meeting of the Board of Assessment Appeals to order. We have an agenda that I've shared with everyone. And the first item of the agenda, item number 2, is the election of officers. And may I remind everyone that only the elected members of the Board of Assessment Appeals will be allowed to vote on the election of officers according to town statutes. So first off, for secretary, do we have any nominations for the secretary of the Board of Assessment Appeals?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Kathleen Griffin.
Nominations.
This is Alexis Harrison. I'd like to nominate Kathleen Griffin to be secretary.
I second that. Carol DePietro.
Any discussion? Then I'll call a vote. All in favor of Kathleen Griffin to be the secretary for this coming year for the BAA, say aye. This is Harold. I say aye.
Aye.
Alexis, aye.
Peter, aye.
Harold?
Carol, aye.
It's unanimous. Congratulations,
Yeah.
Mrs. Secretary.
Ms.
Kathleen
Secretary.
Griffin. Ms. Secretary, yes. Okay, the next we have up for nomination the co-chair of the Board of Assessment Appeals. I would like to nominate Peter Rupert as vice chair.
I'll
Carol,
second
I
the nomination. Okay, Carol.
I believe that it was seconded by Carol. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Any discussion? I'll call a vote. All in favor of Peter Rupert filling the position of vice chair, say aye. This is Harold. I say aye.
Aye.
Kathleen, aye.
Carol, aye.
It's unanimous. Great job last year, and thank you, Peter, for running again. Peter Rupert is the vice chair. Next, we have calling nominations for the chair of the Board of Assessment Appeals. Any nominations?
I nominate Harold.
I'll second that. Alexis,
Second.
I'll second.
Any further Okay. Any further discussion? Then I'll call a vote. All in favor of me being the chairman again this year, say aye.
Aye.
Peter, aye.
Kathleen, aye.
Vote for myself too. Thank you. Okay, I am elected chair of the Board of Assessment Appeal for the coming year. Next, we have the approval of the minutes for the BAA hearings of September the 8th. That was for personal property and automobile. Do I call a vote, Kathleen, for this, or do we ask for a discussion first?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of September 8th, 2020.
I'll second it. Harold will second it. Any discussion? Then I'll call a vote for the approval of the minutes of September the 8th meetings. All in favor, say aye.
Kathleen, aye.
Peter, aye.
Harold, aye.
Alexis, abstain.
Harold? I didn't hear a vote from Carol, but we have a majority. a majority, so the minutes are approved. Carol, did you vote? Do we take that as an abstention?
She was at the meeting. It's up to her. Maybe she's struggling with her microphone.
Carol, can you still hear us?
Oh, boy. I don't know what to do.
I can hear you.
I can hear you. You're there.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Can we,
All right,
do
yes,
you
I
wish to
said-
cast a,
I
said
voted
yes. Okay.
yay. Yes, yes.
Great.
all right. Carol also voted to approve the
Yes.
minutes of the September 8th, 2020 meeting. Okay. Next, it's my pleasure to welcome our new voluntary members to the board to help us with what we anticipate to be a very busy year of hearings for appeals. And the first person on the list is Ronak Patel. And then we have, well, perhaps I'll ask everyone to take a minute to just introduce themselves after I read the list, and in that order, just to tell us a little bit about yourself and why you decided to be party to our endeavor. I have Ronak Patel, John Spoiler, Judith Sablack, and Catherine Van Slick-Griff. Ronak, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, it's actually pronounced Monique, but no worries. It's a long E.
Longy, yes.
No worries.
Apologize for
yeah,
misspelling of any names.
Appreciate it.
Mispronunciation.
Yeah, thank you for having me participate for this next year. I was asked to join as a volunteer and really excited about the opportunity. New to the town, bought my house a little over a year ago. I am currently a vaccines rep at Pfizer, so I represent all Pfizer vaccines in Fairfield County. So we're a little busy, as you may know, with the COVID vaccine. So, but I am still ready to be willing to help for next year for your appeals assessment.
Great, and thank you for all your good work.
Yes, thank you.
Yep, I'm John Spoiler. I've been in Fairfield for a little over 10 years now. I am a business analyst at the Hartford Insurance Group, and you know, looking to help serve the community where I can, and this is one of the ways that I can do it.
Excellent. Thank you, John, and thank you for your volunteering. Judith?
Hi, I'm Judy, and it's such a pleasure to be here. And Harold, I just have to say thank you for pronouncing my name correctly. Nobody ever does, so thank you very much. I have been a realtor for 36 years, so I really, you know, as far as the housing is concerned and taxes and values and all of that, is something that's close to my heart. It's something that I've really been involved with anyway, and I look forward to assisting the members here and assisting the public and just being a part of this and volunteering, and I thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Judy, and we appreciate your helping us out, and we look forward to taking advantage of your expertise and experience as a realtor.
You got it.
Catherine?
I'll keep my name shorter. I usually just use GIF, so you won't have to deal with those other syllables there. And I'm too looking forward. I've lived in Fairfield on and off for almost 40 years now. Started at Fairfield U, and I've as I've progressed, I've changed with the phases and worked with all different types of people, notably PTA on the education and younger families, and most recently with the Fairfield Senior Advocates and Fairfield Youth Social Impact Group. So I'm just looking forward to getting more involved in the government process. And way back when, I was a realtor, and we moved a lot with my husband's job, but we always made it an effort to come back to Fairfield. So we're on our third or fourth house, and it's just a great place. So let's keep everybody here.
Thank you, Catherine, and thank you for volunteering. We look forward to you helping us out this year. I might have mentioned it to everyone, but it occurred to me that I should mention it, that not only will we be seeking your assistance for the March hearings and deliberations, but your term also extends to the September hearings for personal property and automobile. So just wanted you to have a heads up that you'll be called upon to help us out at that time as well. Any questions or any comments from anyone? The Ross has raised his hand. He has a comment.
The September meeting is just for motor vehicles. Personal property would be heard in March with the real estate.
Thank you for the correction. Okay, next item. Is there anything else? Then I'll move on to the next item of our agenda.
Excuse me, Harold.
Yes, I'm sorry,
I
Kathleen.
just wanted to tell everybody, and I think I put it in an email today, that I will try throughout this year to put all of our documents and things that we're referencing on the Board of Assessment Appeals section of the website. So if you're looking for any of the backup, whether to follow along with this meeting, if you can't see the WebEx section or whatever, at the website fairfieldct.org/BAA/agendas. On the right-hand side, there's a drop-down box for the packets. And for, our next couple meetings, I'll try to have everything up there so you can look at it big on your screen if that's easier than using, Ross's share screen or however we're going to work it forward if we're referring to minutes or anything like that. So hopefully, I think we're kind of required to put everything we're using up online. So if I miss anything, feel free to let me know. But also for the public, anybody listening, certainly that's where everything will be. So.
Thanks, Kathleen.
Excellent. That'll be very helpful. Appreciate the effort. Next item on the agenda is our discussion with Ross, our assessor, and I'll hand it over to him.
Ross, I think you might be muted because we can't hear you.
You're correct. I was muted. Can you see the screen, the presentation I gave to the Board of Selectmen last night? I thought I'd run through that with everybody here.
Okay.
I see it.
I see it, yes.
Is it full screen or is it partial?
It's partial. I think you have to bottom right, I think, for presentation mode. I don't know.
Or the top left from current slide. All the way, yeah.
Oh, here we go. Okay. Is it full screen now? It doesn't look like it's full screen though.
It's good.
We can.
You're good to
I can
go.
see the bottom.
I could too also. It looks
Full
fine.
screen.
Okay. Well, we'll move along. So revaluations are state mandated. We have to complete one every 5 years. Once in every 10-year period, we have to inspect the home or do a data mailer. And that is commonly referred to as a full revaluation. And that was done in 2015. So this did not include attempts to measure every home. They're all done the same. They're all done statistically. The only difference is that, once every 10 years, you need to make that visit. So the last revaluation was in 2015. The purpose of a revaluation is to equalize valuations amongst all the property types and neighborhoods and and to capture any changes that have happened throughout the town over the previous 5 years. And this revaluation was conducted by Municipal Valuations, and they are a Fairfield-based company. So throughout the process, I spent a lot of time reviewing our neighborhoods and using our GIS system to correct any parcels that were just in the wrong place. They were, strays, missed data entry errors, that sort of thing. And there was quite a few, but we got those corrected. And then with Mike Fazio, who had the Revaluation company, we created 4 new neighborhoods out of 4 existing ones. So we have 4 new areas, and we will see that in a sec. We added docks, we added billboards, and we added coding for deed restricted parcels. So this is the map of our current neighborhoods. There's a better one coming that'll show the increases in the, so you can see the for instance, neighborhood 1 came out of 1A up in the north end of town. The red areas are the town of Fairfield owned properties, and black is commercial. So if you're wondering why there's blotches in the middle of a lot of our neighborhoods. And so you can see that where we created Stratfield was carved out a little more, into a couple of sections, and then down south, Pine Creek, and in the middle of town, the university area. So the method of a revaluation, we analyzed all the sales that happened between October 1 of 19 and October 1 of 20. So for the past 1 year period, we only use sales that are valid, and a valid sale means that it's an arm's length transaction. It's not a family transfer. It's not a foreclosure. It truly represented a market transaction. We had 978 total sales, and 847 were residential. For commercial properties, we use an income model. So we send out income and expense forms where we ask all the commercial property owners to tell us what their income is, who their tenants are, and what their expenses are. So that data, along with several other sources that are available to the revaluation company, MLS, CoStar, PwC Investor, were analyzed to develop the commercial pricing. So those models are developed based on for residential, based on the sold properties. And once that is working, and I'll show you that in a sec, it is applied to all the other properties, all the unsold. So we use just a couple of statistics to verify our pricing model. There's a sales ratio, which is the sales price divided by the new value. And we're looking for something between 92 and 107. We use 2 statistics to measure uniformity, and that's the coefficient of dispersion and the price-related differential. And finally, once it's applied to the sold properties, we use the unsold ratio. I didn't put the standard. Oh yeah, under 15% for residential on coefficient of dispersion. So these are where we're currently at with the ratios, and this will not likely change much through the informal. So we have an overall sales ratio on residential of 97.5. The COD is at 8.3, and the PRD is at 101. So they're all well within the range. Same for the condos, and same for the commercial. PRD is not valid on the commercial because there was only 9 sales, and you need at least 15.
People put their calls on mute just so there's no background noise. But...
Yeah, it's best if everybody mutes until they're ready to talk. That really helps. So overall, commercial went up by 27%. That was led by apartments, especially the new construction projects that are ongoing. Some have been completed, but some are still to be completed, like the 1401 Kings Highway by the train station. I think we have that at 85% complete. Car dealerships and the service centers, there was some activity on Commerce Drive that helped boost that. There were some sales over there in the last 2 years, and the professional medical buildings. And we saw decreases in nursing homes. So residential, I've got some slides that'll come up on sales volume, average sales price by neighborhood, percent change, and then a map of the percent change. This is our sales volume by month. The next slide, I think I'm going to skip right to it, is actually more telling. So the blue bars are last year and the green bars are this year. So you can see that throughout the, through June, it was tracking pretty close to last year, even though COVID had hit. There's a little drop off in May and June. That was probably, the beginning of COVID, but then once July hit, it just took off, and it has continued. The November number there is incomplete. We don't have all the November sales entered, so that's probably represents about half the month. So it's, the volume is starting to taper off from the peak in August, but it's still well above what it was last year. This is the average sales price by neighborhood. So you can see Sasko is still the most, represents the most valuable neighborhood, and Kings Highway and Tunsis Hill is the most affordable section. This is a chart of the sales quartile. The thing I noticed about this is that if you look at our overall median, it's at 650, and the lowest quartile has a median of 421, which is only a little over $200,000 off the median, whereas when you get to quartile 4, you're looking at $600,000, almost $550,000 difference. So there's a lot greater spread in values as you move up. And this is the chart of the increases by neighborhood, starting with the decreases, moving all the way up to the increases. So people in Sasko Hill and Greenfield Hill, those areas are going down, and I think members of the BAA will tell you that's what we've seen in the appeals is, these people coming in because their price values had continued to drop. There was some recovery up there, but not enough to erase the losses since the last reval. And then on the other side, you have the beach area just continuing to do well, and some other areas there. Anyway, we'll move on to the map. You can see the blue areas are the decreases ranging from light to dark, and green is the increases ranging from light green on the low side, dark green on the high side. Notices were sent to the printer on the 3rd and were actually dropped in the mail on the 7th. So they should be received probably starting tomorrow and Thursday. They will indicate the current assessment and the prior assessment. And the assessment is just 70% of the market value. So we don't put the market value on there, and that's just a statutory notice, and we have to use the assessment. They'll have information on how they can do an informal appeal with the revaluation company. So they will be handling pretty much the first round and making corrections. And for the new folks, I can make corrections, or the reval company can, up until the point the grand list is signed, which happens at the end of January. So once it's signed, the changes have to go through the board. I can no longer just make changes. And the letter will also contain information on how to appeal to the Board of Assessment Appeals. I always encourage people to review their field card, review the information that's online before they appeal, make sure that is correct. The most common reason we have something wrong is we don't have the house listed correctly for a variety of reasons. I encourage everyone to take advantage of the informal hearing. It's the easiest way to make corrections to your property. The best way to appeal is to have 3 or 4 sold properties within the time frame that are similar to your property, and I encourage everyone to keep it simple. The current board members will tell you when people come in with, binders and, 20-page analysis, it's just too much information. And comps can be found on the website. There is a method for searching them out. If they're not satisfied at the informal meeting, then you will see them at the BAA in March. You have to have a written appeal to appeal to the board in March, and it must be received in my office by February 19th. Postmark is not accepted. And again, this is statutory. We'll have the forms available in late January, and they can download them, pick them up, whatever. Hearings will be in March. We'll notify them by March 1st of their date and time. And if they're not satisfied with your decision, then they would need to go to Superior Court for their final opportunity to appeal. Questions?
This is Harold. In previous years, we looked to the last evaluation period of 2015 for acceptable comps. Based upon the fact that we have a new revaluation taking place, are we supposed to look at October 2019 to 2020 comps for sales for comps? Is that the new period?
Yes. So you're going to want to have sales before October 1st of 20. Typically, what I find in Superior Court is the judges are not going to reject sales that happen afterwards. If you have a sale in October, November, even December, they will consider those. And even outside of the 1 year period, depending on the house. I mean, if you have a difficult house, you may need to look further back than 1 year. Ideally, you want it as close to October 1st as possible and as similar as possible.
Thank you.
Ross, this is Kathleen. I was just wondering if, how many people usually show up for the informal hearings as a percentage of those that actually come before the BAA? In other words, are we marketing that as the best opportunity for people to, not have to come before us?
I am definitely encouraging people to take advantage of formal as much as possible. I don't know a ratio offhand. I want to say in Stratford, I think they had 500 or 600 to the informal and maybe 100, 120 to the BAA. But we typically, we had 100 last year in the last year of our revaluation period. So, I think if we had 200, that would probably be a fair number to expect at minimum.
200, this is Harold, 200 in appeals or 200 going to the informal?
200 to the BAA.
Okay. This is Harold. That's approximately 50% more than we've had in past years, so it's not an unmanageable number.
Hopefully that, we've seen a lot of appeals coming out of the, Southport, Sasko, Greenfield Hill, Ridge. So hopefully with those values coming down and hopefully they're, people are happy with what their values are, we'll see less from those areas, but we don't know until it's published and out there.
This is Harold again. On our website, we have posted the dates for the hearings and for the deliberations. And the hours that we have used in the past on those days were from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., Monday through Friday, and from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m., Monday through Thursday. And I just want to mention that so that our new members are aware of those times. And Ross, would you be willing to comment on how the Assessor's Office helps us with scheduling the appeal hearings?
We do all the scheduling. Typically you guys will get together I'd like to see you get together in January to set a schedule so that once the appeals start coming in at the beginning of February, we can get them scheduled and start getting letters out, because the volume, we're expecting it to be heavier than normal.
So
So
this
we
is
take
Harold.
all-
Go ahead.
We take in all the applications and, do all the scheduling.
So just to elaborate on that, in our next meeting, have we scheduled that, Kathleen? For or we're going to actually do it via email. An email will be sent out to all the board members requesting that you provide your availability dates and preferred hours of helping with the hearings. And then we will plug that into a spreadsheet schedule, and appeals hearings will be assigned to you according to your availability. And we'll try to pack those in such a way that there is some respite time between, and to complete them as early as possible during the evening hours. But it will be important for you to take a look at the dates and the time slots and let us know when you will be available. I know that some of you teach or work, and that will affect your availability for evening or morning hours. But if there are times that you are available, let's say you can't start at 4 o'clock, but if you can start at 6 o'clock and work through 9 or 8 or whatever the time slot is that you could be available, that is when you will be assigned appeal hearings.
Okay. I have a
Any
question,
comments?
Harold, when you have a moment. Oh, sorry.
Ross, you had something?
Yeah, I was talking with our IT director, and we're starting to realize that this is going to be, it's going to take some thought to get this going, because the BAA appeals are public, and so are the hearings. So you can't just conduct them by phone without offering the public a way in. And we only have 4 WebEx accounts right now, and theoretically we could need up to 9 plus whatever other boards may need. So we're not exactly sure how we're going to, go down that road at this point. Certainly, once you get to deliberations, that's much simpler, because we can do it with, if we can't have anybody in a room, or we only can have the board in a room, or however, we're able to do this, we can do that via WebEx and let the public in that way with just one session. But doing the hearings with 9 people, we're starting to think about how that's actually going to look and work.
Well, Kathleen and I have been thinking about it as well, and we'll have to see how the situation evolves in the first quarter of 2021 with the virus and with vaccinations. And perhaps we could have a combination of for those people who feel comfortable with meeting in person, albeit with separation and distancing, to have some of our sessions in the large conference room or other space made available to us in Town Hall, and the rest via WebEx. And that could help offload the demand for the WebEx lines and still make it possible for those people who feel comfortable with it to have meetings in person.
It may not be a matter of who's or not here. It may be a matter of what the town will allow. It may not be your.
Yeah, I'm just, yes, and I understand that takes precedence over any methodology that we come up with, but we're just thinking that could be an option if the town allows it.
Right. The problem with having even an in-person hearing where you make enough space in a room and protection and have it allowed is you still have to allow the public. You still have to be able to accommodate the public.
Well, in that case, this is Harold. In that case, we may need to have one of your staff members handle the recording of such a meeting. Again, if they're willing to do so and if the town allows it.
Yeah, we'll be discussing this over the next several weeks.
Yes, I understand.
Has the administration, Ross, offered any more WebEx lines or to make this easier?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Could everybody mute their phone and talk? Some background.
I do too.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I assume that you've addressed this with the town administration, but will they be offering more WebEx lines? I mean, that seems like a pretty easy thing to do.
You know, like I said, Dave and I had an initial discussion, I think it was this week or late last week, and, you know, that was one of the things we tossed out. You know, do we just temporarily purchase 8, 9 more WebEx sessions and just go that route? That may be the answer.
Yeah, because I think actually only one of the WebEx lines is a public line right now. I think it's WebEx 3. That's the only one where they allow the public in for hearings, right? Like this line, people can listen, but they can't comment. And our problem is people need to be able to comment if it's a hearing. So that's where we, you know.
Well, no, you need to allow the public to listen in. You only need to have the person at the hearing be able to talk. But once you start giving out the number that allows them to converse, then it potentially becomes a public WebEx. That's the only difference between these WebExes, is that some of the numbers haven't been publicly published that allows people to speak.
Right.
This is Harold. Can we consider other options to WebEx that might give us the flexibility that we need, such as a Zoom or something else that might have the capabilities that we're looking for, but give us more capabilities?
That would be up to the town. And I know right now they've chosen WebEx, and I think, and I don't know if it's true now, but WebEx did have, I heard some security issues with it early on that may be fixed. I'm not sure.
I think that was fixed. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the issue we're going to run into right now is like for zoning and some of those other, hearings, the attorneys are pretty used to doing remote and it's easy for them. We're going to have 200 homeowners. Some of them are seniors. I mean, for them to be able to even navigate, the technology to be able to log in and, speak to a board member, that's going to be our biggest challenge, I think, is making sure that it's accessible to them and that we're not spending 15 minutes before every hearing just trying to, get somebody to log in so we can talk to them. So that's, Harold and I talked a little bit about the possibility of us all being remote and allowing the public to come in one group at a time into the large conference room and basically talk to a camera where we're on the other side of it. So at least the public doesn't have to deal with technology. It's set up in the room for them. You disinfect the room, the next person comes in or whatever it is. And we're remote, but they can come into town hall by an appointment, which I believe we're allowing appointments in. So anyway, that was just something we had, we're thinking about talking to you or David about, so that we're not disenfranchising the public and we're also not spending 45 minutes on technology with a hearing that is, you look how long it took us to get 20 minutes tonight just to get ourselves in, right? So with 200 of those, it could be a nightmare. So.
Hey, good
This
idea.
is Harold. That would also mean having multiple locations for the public to come in to equal to the number of board members who will be doing the hearings. So it's not just one room or 2 rooms. It could be several rooms.
Right.
I have a WebEx line for work. I'm happy to use that.
Or we just use the come into town hall option for those that need it. And those that are comfortable, going on through WebEx can do it from their home.
Yeah, we have to tape them all, right?
We have to tape them all, and we have to have them all open to the public during the meeting, I believe.
I believe that's true. I think we had to let the public be able to speak at a hearing. That's not true. The only person who we have to allow to speak at a hearing is the appellant themselves. Is that right? The public can't come speak at the hearing? Okay.
I believe that's correct. I don't believe they're there's public comment allowed.
Scheduling working on a way when they coordinate schedules to meet. Are they prefacing any kind of virtual engagement at this point, or is this still under deliberation?
What was that? Could you repeat the first part of that?
Yeah. So when scheduling, is scheduling prefacing like any kind of like virtual engagement? Like when they start scheduling out, like are they prepared, or is it still being under deliberation of whether we're going to do virtual or in person? Or like I figured it's going to be easier to preface it before we get closer to March. The sooner the better, I would assume.
Yeah,
This is Harold.
I don't know how exactly we're going to do that yet.
Yeah, I would echo what Ross is saying. I think it's too early to say if we're going to offer multiple options to the public until we can figure out how and where we as board members can handle the hearings. Yes, Judy.
Maybe we can check with other towns who have been through this throughout COVID and see how they handled it? Have we checked with anybody?
I have, we went through this last year. We got caught in COVID. Fortunately, our board had gotten, I think, all but a couple done prior to being completely locked down, and then the deliberations were done virtually. So we kind of escaped the need to bring the public in. I think some towns just did it by phone, and I don't think that's the right way, but that's just what they did. Unfortunately, not every town will follow the statutes, and they just did it.
The concern here is people being disenfranchised. That's a really big concern.
Yeah, we're going to make every effort to make sure that everybody that wants a hearing can get one.
And I think, this is Harold, I think we'll have to involve the town attorney as to what we can do as well to maintain compliance with the statutes.
Absolutely.
Any other questions regarding Mr. Murray's comments? Any questions from the board member?
Yeah,
Yes,
this is
go ahead.
Alexis. I had a question not on communication or, how we interact with the public or vice versa. I was wondering, Ross, is the public, are they aware that they can appeal, or the process is around the corner, I guess? What's the communication been with the public?
It's been in the First Selectwoman's newsletter now for several weeks. It's on my website. It'll be in the initial notice from the reval company, and then it's in any notice concerning change in value that I send out. The initial round goes out to everybody. They will remail to anybody that has an informal hearing a notice, whether it's changed or not. And then I am mailing to any new homeowners that come in. We'll be sending them letters, and anybody that we change. We're still working on building permits. So, some values will still be changing through our office. Those people will get a notice also. So, we're making every effort to get everybody a notice.
Yeah, that sounds thorough. Thank you.
And this is Harold. As I understand it, the notice includes 3 items. One is that they can do the informal appeal to the reval company. The second is to approach the Board of Assessment Appeals. And the third is, if they are denied by the Board of Assessment Appeals, to go to the courts. Is that correct?
That's correct, right. The only thing I'll mention is that the informal is not required. And to go to Superior Court, you do need to go through the BAA. There is a method, but you're generally not allowed to appeal to Superior Court unless you've gone to the Board of Assessment Appeals.
Right, understood.
And I think this will be a good time to mention, we've reached out to my organization, the CAAO, and they put on Board of Assessment training, and I know some of the current members did that a few years back, and we're looking at bringing in, his name is Bill Gaffney. He does the training, the BAA training, and we're looking to bring him either to Fairfield or possibly to, he suggested Bridgeport to do a joint session with their members. They have a very large council chamber, so it's potentially possible to use that. But once we get into February, we'll figure that out and see what works for everyone.
And this would augment the information that is included in the handbook that I believe everyone should have at this point.
Do our new members have the handbook? I didn't think to send that out ahead of time.
Ross, this is Harold. I believe I sent a copy to everyone and all of the new members when they signed up and were approved.
Oh.
If anyone does not have it, please let me know and I will email it to you.
I think it's on the website, isn't it, Harold? Is it under? If it's not, we certainly can put, there's no reason for it not to be up there, right, Ross? I wouldn't think. So I think we had a drop-down folder for appeal background documents or training documents or something, and just make sure that any helpful handouts or whatever are included in that section under the BAA.
I don't recall that, but if you have a copy of the 2017 edition, if you would care to put that into the BAA website, that would be terrific. Thank you. Any further questions? I'd like to move on to item number 6, if I may. And this pertains to whether or not the board should conduct hearings or not conduct hearings on commercial properties, industrial utilities, or apartment properties that are assessed in value greater than $1 million. Now, keep in mind, assessment is 70% of the market value, so it would be assessed values of $1 million or more. And I'd like to call a vote on, yes, Ross.
Can I just say maybe Ross can give us some insights on that, just for especially the new members? Well, I guess they can't vote, but I think it would just be valuable to hear that.
Yeah, excellent suggestion. Thank you.
In the past, I've always asked the board to hear all the commercial properties. It helps to bring some information to the table ahead of time. And, if there's something I can do to head it off before it goes to a Superior Court appeal, all the better. It just helps open a dialogue between the commercial property and myself and get some, like I said, flush some info out.
I was going to add to that too. Like, for example, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, there was, one commercial property that came in and just for our hearings and realized, there was a misunderstanding between the assessor's office and the appellant, and it got cleared up. There was no issues with the appeal, and then it saved, people going to court in the whole business of that afterwards, just by clearing up the misunderstanding. And, there were some hard feelings, those went away. So it was all kind of a good thing to at least get to talk to them about it. So.
Harold, can you repeat the question, please?
Repeat the question to Ross?
Or the motion, rather, I should say the motion.
Oh, the motion. Yes, so there's a motion on the table to vote on whether or not the board should conduct hearings regarding commercial, industrial, utility, and apartment properties greater than $1 million in value, assessed value. Is there
I'll second it.
anyone want to?
I'm sorry, who made the
motion.
motion? Who made the motion?
I just put the question to the board. So does anyone want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion. Okay, this is Peter.
Motion to approve?
To approve that we conduct hearings, that the BAA shall conduct hearings on appeals for commercial, industrial, utility, or apartment property with assessed values greater than $1 million as permitted by the statute.
Now, this is Harold. I second the motion. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Alexis?
Aye.
Hi, Peter.
Kathleen? Yes.
Carl, I.
I think you got
Carol?
everybody.
Okay. The motion to hear such appeals is approved unanimously. Item number 7, I shared a letter with everyone. I'm not going to read that, but there was an article in the charter of the town of Fairfield, Connecticut, with Article 11, Standards of Conduct. Excuse me. Everyone, I assume that everyone has read it. Is there any comment or questions regarding the Standard of Conduct document?
Harold, I just wanted to comment on the FOI piece. I mean, the standards of conduct are pretty easy to read, but FOI can sometimes get tricky for people. So just for the new people, just know that like we can email is where most boards get themselves in trouble. So according to Freedom of Information, we can't really be discussing business, or you can't discuss business over email. Any business we do as a board member needs to be in public, and it has to be in sessions like this where the public can attend. So we would never take any votes or anything like that over email. We can do scheduling and things. So that's why I feel like in January, as we talk about when people are available for hearings and all of that, I don't know that we have to meet for that in January necessarily, unless there's a lot of issues around how we're going to handle them due to COVID. So scheduling and things, it's okay to do that, but any opinions or discussions, especially on properties or anything like that, that can't be done over email. Really needs to happen in a public forum, or has to, yeah.
And Kathleen, given your knowledge of the procedures, would you like to mention something about caucusing?
Sure, this is Kathleen. Harold is correct. There is also caucusing where members of a particular party can get together, the Democrats or Republicans or whatever. They can have meetings on their own that can be in private and discuss. But in terms of, meeting as a board, whatever constitutes a quorum for us right now is a board of 5. A quorum is, 3 of us. Once we're a board of 9, then a quorum would be 5. But you're right, caucuses are excluded from from that. And Alexis can add to it too. She's got good knowledge of that as well. She's got anything to add.
Nope, you well covered, Kathleen. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. Any other comments? All right, then we'll move to item number 8, the adoption of the schedule of meetings. The dates for the upcoming meetings are on the BAA website. The BAA website is also attached to the assessor's office, and those dates are set. And as I mentioned earlier, the hours that we typically set aside for the hearings and deliberations are in the mornings, 9 to 12, and 4 to 9 in the evenings. And we will send out an email. I will send out an email to everyone asking you to look at your calendars and letting us know early in January what you feel your best availability is going to be during those dates and time slots for
Kathleen,
hearings and
yeah.
deliberations.
Sorry, I think it's gonna be late January, right? Ross, did you say like around January 22nd or the end of January be helpful to have our schedules?
I was actually hoping to have it much earlier so that we could, as soon as they start coming in, we can start scheduling them and getting letters out and be done just because of the volume.
But is
Okay, well, it won't
January
be New Year's
22?
Day. I think that we were also looking at possibility of January 19th for sending it. Certainly, we can send out an email ahead of time, but request the complete your inputs by January 19th.
Yeah, I know that's pretty far in advance, but it would help us out in getting things, keeping things under control. It's pretty crazy when even with just 100 coming in, there's a lot of paper and, people following up with stuff late and not completing things. It's a challenge.
And this is Harold. Keep in mind that if things come up and you can't be available at a certain date and time that you specify that you thought you would be available, we can always see to work around that and have someone fill in for those times. So don't be shy about giving us your best assessment of what your availability would be.
So, Ross, this is Peter. You would like though to see it how far in advance of the 19th? That's what I'm hearing. Am I correct?
Yeah, I mean, ideally it'd be right at the towards the end of January so that we know what we're scheduling as soon as that applications start coming in. We'll start slotting people in, and we can get notices out much earlier.
This is Harold. My thought was I would send out a letter mid-month and request that you provide your availability schedules by the 19th of January to give the assessor's office time to start scheduling hearings as the appeals come in.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
I just was gonna add, I'm sorry. I was gonna say for new members, I don't know, Ross, if you still want to do 15-minute hearings this time, or because of COVID, you want to go to 20-minute. Sometimes we get backed up in between. I don't know if you have a thought for that, but just in general, we open up the slots from 9 to 12. In the past, it's been 15-minute slots, and then from 4 to 9, 15-minute slots. And we sometimes have, 3 different hearings or sometimes even 4 going on at one time in different rooms. So we can actually get through 200 hearings normally in a pretty short period of time. But I don't want you to feel like you have to say, I can do every slot every time. Feel free to say, look, I can do Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning from 9 to 11. I can do Tuesday afternoon from 7 to 9. I can't do Thursdays. Don't put yourself, out so much for your availability that you're killing yourself, for the hearings. There'll be 9 of us, and I'm guessing unless we get 500 of them, and we'll know, as February rolls along if we're really in trouble with that. But, don't be kind to yourself in terms of your availability, because once it comes time to do the deliberations, then those are the nights, once we finished all the hearings, then we sit down as a group, and those can be 5 and 6 hour meetings. We usually start them at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and we do them right here every Monday through Thursday night for a good 5 hours of because we then have to decide on the over 200. So we discuss and vote on each one. And that's when you're really going to be, we have to make sure we have a quorum of 5 so that our votes are legal. And also, it's a lot of time. We used to be able to get takeout dinner. So it was nice that we could all be in the conference room together for that month of March. But I'm guessing that's not going to happen this year. So just a heads up in terms of, being kind to yourself, but also be ready for those long nights of discussions towards the end of March.
Ross.
Yeah, I think in the past we've tried to schedule all the hearings early on, and then deliberations would take place later in the month.
Yes. For the new folks too, I'm sure you would feel more comfortable if you had someone assisting you in the first couple of hearings, but I'd be happy, and I'm sure other board members as well would be happy to talk through the process. I don't want to take the time now to do that, but talk through what the typical hearing process is like. It's a fact-finding and information gathering session. We call it a hearing because we're doing the listening, they're doing the talking. So reach out to me or Kathleen or any of the other board members if you would like to review what happens in that 15-minute slot. Getting back to Kathleen's question about should we extend the hearings to 20-minute slots to have 3 per hour as opposed to 4. I'm not opposed to that. Is that something we should be voting on or make a request of the assessor's office to do? Any thoughts on that, anyone? Any board members?
This is Kathleen. I was going to say, I don't think we have to vote on that. What we have to vote on tonight is what our schedule is and when we'll start our hearings, what the windows are. We've never, in our December vote, we've never looked at, how long each hearing goes. So I think at least tonight, we don't need to make that decision, and maybe have something to do with the decision on the technology. It'll really be once January comes around, right? And the end of January, Ross needs to start putting people in slots that probably, I'm guessing his office will make that decision, for us based on, or IT, based on the technology and how we're going to handle it all.
This is Harold. That makes sense to me. So getting back to the item number 8, the question is to adopt the 2021 schedule of meetings that are currently published on the BAA website and the town clerk's office. Is that correct, Kathleen? Catherine? Sorry. Kathleen, I meant to say. Sorry. I can't hear you.
Muted, Kathleen.
Kathleen?
Can you hear me now? I was looking at the agenda, but I don't.
Okay.
Am I good now? I'm good. Okay. Sorry. No, I did not put it in the agenda because wasn't sure of the dates. I did send it out to everybody, and I've since posted the proposed dates on the website. I'm just trying to call it up without turning off my microphone. Let me see. So I'll just read what they are into the minutes, if that's okay. So we were looking at, let's see, Tuesday, February 23rd at 5 p.m. That would be really for some good training. Ross usually goes through the procedures of swearing people in and, what good advice on, how best to handle the hearings. So that would be an important meeting for the new members, the Tuesday, February 23rd at 5. And then the real property hearings and deliberations in the month of March, starting March 2nd for the morning hearings from 9 to 12. And going Monday, starting on a Tuesday, but going Monday through Friday in the mornings. And then the evening hearings from 4 to 9 p.m. on Mondays through Thursdays, starting March 2nd and ending. I put them all the way right now through the end of March in case we happen to get 400 and we need all that time. Hopefully we won't, but it's a lot easier to cancel a meeting than it is to call a special meeting. And then the third item was the motor vehicle hearings and deliberations on September 8th. We have that set for Wednesday at 5. And then next year's organizational meeting would be Tuesday, December 7th at 6 p.m. So again, there's a document on the website under the agendas, and on the backup where I put all that, I did put these proposed dates, and I will include them in the meeting, but I think that needs to be part of the motion for if we're going to vote on our calendar.
Thank you, Kathleen. That's very good. So I make a motion to approve the dates and the times that are published on the town website for the hearings and deliberations. Ross, you have some discussion?
I mean, Kathleen, did you have some afternoon times too?
This is Kathleen. Not in the past, we haven't. We usually do the 9 to 12 and 4 to 9 has been where we've traditionally done. We've never done anything mid-afternoon. Doesn't mean we can't. We never
I'm just
have.
wondering if maybe the afternoons would be better for some of the new members. You want to add those times in?
Does anybody have an opinion on that? Again, it's
Yeah, I know
much
some
easier to
people- Some people work, so I don't know if the afternoon is always doable for everybody.
I think 1 to 3 might be
I'll
good.
say this is John, and I'll say that the afternoon would be tougher for me to accommodate.
I'm flexible either way.
Better for the mornings.
Who could not do the afternoon from, let's say, 1 to 3?
This is Alexis. I could not.
This is Peter.
That's a good,
And
that's a
John,
good time
that-
slot.
Well, we have to make sure that we have a quorum of 5 people. John could not do it. Peter, you teach, right?
I cannot do it.
Okay. So that's 3 that are out.
Yeah. Harold,
Ross.
I was thinking more on the hearings.
I can do it 1 to 3. I'm a Realtor, I could set my hours.
For the hearings.
And again,
So
that's just
the,
if the member had a
I
preference.
could do some afternoons. I could do a few. But the mornings are good, evenings are good. But if somebody needed me, yeah, I'd be there in the afternoon for you.
Should we consider creating special meetings, times on certain dates if we need to have the additional time to include afternoon hours, depending on the number of hearings we have to conduct?
this is
Wait and
Kathleen.
see.
Oh, again, as a secretary and the person who posts all this stuff and goes to the town clerk, it's a lot easier for me to cancel than it is for me to create new ones. And it also, in terms of the public. So I don't know what you think, Ross. Do you want just 2 weeks of 1 to 3? Is that, just the first 2 weeks? Or
Again, I was only thinking that if any of the new people preferred the afternoons, then you could create some. But if it's sounding like it's mornings and evenings for just about everybody, so maybe it is better just to stick with that.
Yeah, I agree. I think adding the afternoons would be a little too complicated.
All right. Well, we can give it some thought, but as it is now, we would have time to add those additional time slots to our schedule at a later date. So we'll give it some thought, and please share your feedback with me about your thoughts on scheduling the hearing, the deliberations hours, which would be towards the end of the month, to add a session of 1 to 3 in the afternoon for the deliberation of the hearing appeals.
this is Kathleen. I don't think that's what Ross was saying, right? Ross, were you just talking about adding more hearings, not having deliberations during the day? Am I right?
I was just speaking towards hearings, yes.
Oh, just hearings. I'm sorry. I thought we wanted to add more time to make sure we finished our deliberations. All right. Then if it's just hearings, that's fine. I was thinking that if we need more time for deliberations, that's when we would need to have more sessions.
This is Kathleen, and I think that is what we did last year when with the COVID hit and we were not sure how to have legal meetings and all of that. I think we did add some special meetings for deliberations in the afternoons, just because we weren't going to be able to finish them by the end of March.
Okay.
But hopefully better at it this year. We'll see.
Well, I'm flexible. We can add time or we can keep it as it is for now and see how things run. Any other comments?
No, this is Kathleen
I-
Harold. I think you have a motion on the table, right? You made the motion to approve the calendar as posted. But I don't know
Yes,
that
I'm
there's a
sorry,
second.
we didn't complete that process. After you read the dates, I made the motion to approve the schedule of meetings, to adopt the schedule of meetings for 2021. Is there a second?
I'll second it. It's Peter.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
This is Kathleen, aye.
This is Harold, aye. Alexis, I believe you
I'm
voted?
sorry, aye. Yeah, aye.
Carol, I, yes.
Right, it's approved unanimously. Okay, the last item would anyone like to bring up any additional business before the board?
This is Kathleen. I just wanted to, you all probably have heard us doing this, but I think technically according to the new executive order, you're supposed to identify yourself every time you speak. In case there's people who are on the conference only line, they can't see our faces and they don't know who's speaking. So I don't think we have anybody else called in tonight that has that, but it took us, I don't know, a couple meetings to get in that habit last March. But I have listened to other board meetings in town, conference only, and if people don't identify themselves, it's difficult sometimes to know who's speaking. So I think, try to be as transparent as possible if we all get in that habit, because our hearings may just be, one-on-one hearings or whatever, which might be a little easier, but certainly when it gets to the deliberations. So anyway,
Okay.
get used to saying your name, I guess is what I would say.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Makes sense.
All right. Then I want to thank you all for participating in this meeting, and a special thanks and kudos to the new members of our team who have volunteered so generously of their time and intellect to help us out. So thank you again, and I make a motion to adjourn.
This is Alexa. I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Plain aye.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Please do reach out to me, anyone, if you have any questions.
Okay.
Thanks, Carol. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
you.
Harold.